The car industry has always been full of big dreams and wild ideas. Over the years, designers and engineers have come up with some pretty out there concepts to make driving more exciting, more convenient, or just plain cooler. Some of these ideas were bold and ambitious, while others made people scratch their heads and say, "Really?" Some of these inventions were way ahead of their time, and the world just wasn't ready for them. Others were just too impractical, too expensive, or, let's face it, just plain weird. But one thing's for sure, they all have fascinating stories behind them. And who knows, maybe some of these forgotten ideas will inspire the car of the future. Today we're diving into 29 car innovations that didn't quite make the cut. From the almost brilliant to the completely bizarre, these ideas give us a peek into the creativity and occasional chaos of the automotive world. So sit back, relax, and let's take a drive through some of the strangest car innovations. Number 29, rotating seat. This innovation aimed to address real challenges faced by elderly or mobility-impaired individuals, offering a glimpse of how thoughtful design could improve accessibility. Rotating seats were among the first adaptations in cars tailored to passengers with special needs. The seats could swivel to face the door, making it easier for someone with limited mobility to enter or exit the vehicle without excessive strain. While the concept was forward-thinking, it was hindered by high production costs and added complexity to vehicles that weren't yet optimized for such modifications. Modern cars have revisited this idea with power-assisted swivel seats and modifications for wheelchair users, making it a precursor to today's accessible car designs. Number 28, glowing tires. Aesthetically bold and technologically intriguing, glowing tires captured public imagination, though their practical flaws were significant. Goodyear's glowing tires, made from a translucent synthetic rubber called neothane, promised to light up the road in vivid colors. This innovation combined aesthetics with potential visibility benefits for nighttime driving. However, the manufacturing costs were prohibitive, the durability of neothane was questionable, and safety concerns about heat and wear prevented mass adoption. Despite failing, glowing tires remain a cultural icon of futuristic design concepts. Number 27, in-car navigation. While initially groundbreaking, this innovation became obsolete due to advancements in mobile technology. The emergence of in-car navigation in the late 20th century marked a major milestone for drivers. Early systems were expensive and often required CD or DVD-based maps, which were cumbersome to update. By the early 2000s, built-in systems became more affordable and accurate. However, the rapid rise of smartphones and free navigation apps like Google Maps and Waze rendered these systems redundant, as they offered real-time updates and portability. Today, many cars integrate smartphone apps, showing how the idea evolved rather than disappeared entirely. Number 26, water balloon bumpers, a creative attempt to improve car safety, though impractical in real-world applications. Inventor John Rich's water balloon bumpers were designed to absorb collision impact, reducing damage and injuries. These industrial-strength balloons filled with water or fluid work similarly to modern crumple zones by dissipating kinetic energy. Unfortunately, the system was bulky, required frequent maintenance, and raised concerns about leaks or bursts. This concept foreshadowed later innovations in car safety, emphasizing energy absorption in collisions. Number 25, glove box minibar. A symbol of mid-20th century luxury, this feature quickly became outdated due to changing social norms. The glovebox minibar in the 1957 Cadillac Eldorado Brougham epitomized the era's opulence, complete with magnetized shot glasses and a decanter. At the time, drinking and driving had fewer restrictions, and this addition was seen as a mark of sophistication. However, as awareness of the dangers of drunk driving grew, laws became stricter, and the feature was banned, becoming a relic of a bygone era. Number 24, Lullababy car hammock. A misguided attempt at infant safety, highlighting how far car safety standards have progressed. In the 1970s, the Lullababy car hammock seemed like a convenient alternative to bulky car seats. By suspending infants between the front and back seats, it promised comfort and easy access for parents. However, crash tests and advances in safety research revealed the hammock offered no real protection in collisions. This failure helped pave the way for the strict regulations and innovations in child safety seats we rely on today. Number 23, dog or goat sack. A bizarre idea with questionable ethics, the dog or goat sack failed to consider animal welfare or safety. The dog or goat sack allowed pets to ride outside the vehicle, strapped to a canvas bag attached to the car's side. While it may have been seen as a way to save space and give pets fresh air, the risks of injury, exposure, or stress made it a non-starter. Its rapid decline reflects a growing awareness of animal safety and welfare over the decades. Number 22, ice maker, a niche luxury item that lacked practicality and relevance for most users. The in-car ice maker, another feature in the Cadillac Eldorado Brougham, provided luxury car owners with chilled beverages on the go. However, its high cost, maintenance challenges, and limited utility made it more trouble than it was worth. Portable coolers and improvements in air conditioning made this feature unnecessary. Number 21, car exhaust vacuum cushions. An unsafe and unnecessary invention, offering little real value. This 1930s innovation used the suction from car exhaust to clean upholstery. While creative, it posed severe health risks due to exposure to carbon monoxide and other exhaust fumes. The idea never gained traction, and modern vacuum technology rendered it obsolete. Number 20, vent windows. Ever heard of a wing window? That quirky little triangle at the front of a car door that could be tilted open to let in a refreshing breeze? Vent windows, introduced in the 1930s, were a clever design to provide ventilation before air conditioning became the norm. They were a hit in the 1950s and 60s, offering drivers a way to cool down without opening the main window fully. They were perfect for those summer road trips when you just needed a little fresh air. Yet, like so many innovations, the vent window couldn't withstand the passage of time. While they served their purpose, they had their share of flaws, leaking in the rain, easily broken into by thieves, and not very aerodynamic. With air conditioning becoming a standard feature, and the push for more streamlined, fuel-efficient designs in the 1980s, vent windows were slowly phased out, never to return. Number 19, car phones. Imagine driving in the 1950s and having a phone right there in your car, ready to make calls at the push of a button. This was the reality when car phones were first introduced by Bell System in St. Louis, Missouri in 1946. Early models were massive, weighing around 80 pounds and taking up significant space in the car. Popular primarily among business professionals who needed to stay connected while on the road, car phones were the ultimate status symbol of the time. The novelty of being able to make a call from your car seemed like a futuristic dream. Yet the novelty soon wore off. The service was unreliable, with frequent busy signals due to limited channels, and the installation costs were prohibitively high. Plus, using a phone while driving raised safety concerns. As technology evolved, mobile phones became smaller, more affordable, and far more convenient. The rise of handheld mobile phones in the 1990s, along with the development of Bluetooth and integrated car communication systems, made car phones obsolete. What was once a high-tech luxury soon became a relic of a bygone era. Number 18, record players. In the 1950s, car manufacturers introduced a groundbreaking idea that seemed like the future: an in-car record player. Imagine being able to play your favorite vinyl records while driving, a new level of in-car entertainment. At a time when radios were the primary source of music in cars, this innovation seemed like the next logical step. But reality quickly set in. The bumpy roads caused the needle to skip, and the record players themselves took up a lot of valuable space in the car. Even worse, trying to change a record while driving proved to be both distracting and dangerous. By the 1960s, the novelty wore off, and the record player became obsolete as newer, more practical alternatives, such as 8-track tapes and later cassette players, took over, offering a smoother, safer, and more convenient listening experience. Number 17, Landau bars. Imagine a car that looks like it could have been pulled straight from the 18th century, a symbol of luxury, grace, and old-world charm. Enter Landau bars. These decorative features, named after the town of Landau in Germany, were designed to mimic the look of convertible carriages. In the early days of the automobile, Car manufacturers added these ornamental bars to fixed-roof cars to evoke the spirit of the past. While Landau bars had their time in the sun as symbols of elegance, they ultimately proved impractical. They added unnecessary weight to the car and were prone to rust and damage. By the late 20th century, these nostalgic features were replaced by more modern, functional alternatives. Sunroofs, panoramic roofs, and actual convertible designs that offered real benefits like better ventilation and natural light. Landau bars, once a mark of luxury, became little more than a relic of an outdated design. Number 16, column shifters. Let's take a step back in time to the 1930s, where a clever design innovation aimed to free up space in the front of the car. Enter the column shifter. Mounted on the steering column, this gear shift lever allowed drivers to change gears without cluttering the floor space. It was particularly useful in large family sedans and trucks, popular in the 1940s and 50s, where creating room for an extra passenger was highly valued. The column shifter became a symbol of spaciousness and simplicity, giving drivers more freedom to move and stretch in the cabin. But as cars evolved, the limitations of column shifters started to become apparent. While they served their purpose for a while, they lacked the precision that floor-mounted shifters provided. Drivers would sometimes struggle to select the right gear, and the internal linkage mechanisms were prone to wear, leading to maintenance headaches. As sports cars and performance-driven designs gained popularity in the 1960s, the demand for more ergonomic and precise gear-shifting systems grew. The column shifter, once a hallmark of convenience, gradually gave way to floor shifters, offering better control, a sportier feel, and a sleeker interior design. Number 15, ashtrays. For much of the 20th century, ashtrays were as standard in cars as the steering wheel. Introduced in the early 1900s, ashtrays were placed in easy-to-reach spots on the dashboard, door panels, or center consoles for smokers to dispose of their cigarette butts. They were a mark of the times when smoking was common and socially accepted. Many early cars even featured elegant, built-in ashtrays, turning them into a symbol of luxury. However, as awareness of the health risks of smoking spread, the once ubiquitous ashtray began to fade away. Public health campaigns and the rise of anti-smoking laws led to a cultural shift, and by the 1990s, car manufacturers began phasing out ashtrays in favor of more practical features. Cup holders and additional storage compartments became the new priorities, marking the end of the in-car ashtray era. Number 14, luggage racks. Before the days of spacious trunks and roof boxes, luggage racks were an essential feature on many cars, especially during the mid-20th century. Positioned on the roof or trunk, these racks allowed drivers to carry extra luggage for long road trips and family vacations, when trunks were often too small to hold everything needed for the journey. Luggage racks were practical and functional, making them a popular addition to vehicles during an era of big families and cross-country road trips. However, as convenient as they were, luggage racks had their flaws. They added significant wind resistance, which led to a decrease in fuel efficiency, a big problem as consumers became more conscious of gas prices and environmental impact. Additionally, poorly secured luggage could pose a real safety risk, potentially flying off and causing accidents on the road. Rust and wear also became common issues with the racks, leading to costly maintenance. As car designs improved and trunks grew larger, the need for external racks diminished. By the late 20th century, more efficient storage solutions like roof boxes and sleek, aerodynamic car designs made luggage racks largely obsolete. Number 13, hood ornaments. From the classic Spirit of Ecstasy on a Rolls-Royce to Cadillac's iconic winged figures, hood ornaments were once the crowning jewel of luxury cars. Emerging in the 1920s and 30s, these decorative features were mounted on the radiator caps of cars and became synonymous with high-end vehicles, often doubling as brand identifiers. Hood ornaments represented elegance, sophistication, and the elite status of the car owner. They were symbols of pride for automakers and drivers alike. But as time passed, hood ornaments started to reveal their shortcomings. They could be hazardous in accidents, potentially causing injury to pedestrians due to their sharp edges. They were also prime targets for theft and vandalism. Moreover, as car designs evolved, manufacturers focused on creating sleeker, more aerodynamic vehicles, and the ornate hood ornament became impractical. By the 1960s, changing safety regulations and evolving consumer tastes led to their decline. Today, hood ornaments are rare, often relegated to vintage cars or luxury models where they can retract, serving as a nod to automotive history while complying with modern safety standards. Number 12, bench seats. Let's go back in time to the days when cars were built for comfort and space. Imagine the scene. 3 people sitting comfortably across the entire front of a car. No need for dividing seats or middle consoles, just a wide, uninterrupted bench. Bench seats were a staple from the 1920s through the 1980s, especially in American cars. They were designed with family trips in mind, allowing easy access to the front seat for everyone. It wasn't just about convenience, it was a symbol of spaciousness, as families could spread out on long road trips. But as with most things, evolution took its course. The rising importance of safety in cars led to the downfall of the bench seat. In the event of a crash, bench seats provided little protection, offering no individual support to passengers. Bucket seats became the new standard, offering not just comfort, but a clear safety advantage with the inclusion of headrests and seatbelts for each passenger. By the 1980s, the bench seat, which once symbolized the carefree, roomy days of family road trips, was gradually phased out. Number 11, Woodies. Woodies, or Woody wagons, were cars featuring wooden body panels that gained popularity during the 1930s and 1940s. The wooden panels were a practical solution during the Great Depression, when metal was more expensive and less accessible. Woodies were often used as family cars, offering a distinctive look and ample cargo space for road trips. The wooden bodywork gave these cars a rustic charm and made them particularly popular with outdoor enthusiasts. However, maintaining the wooden panels was expensive and labor-intensive, as they required regular care to prevent rot and weather damage. As metalworking techniques improved and metal-bodied cars became more affordable, Woodies began to decline in popularity. By the 1950s, the advantages of all-metal bodies, greater safety, durability, and lower maintenance, made Woodies obsolete. Today, they remain a nostalgic symbol of a bygone era in automotive history. Number 10, pop-up headlights. If you've ever seen a car with headlights that rise and fall like something out of a science fiction movie, you've encountered pop-up headlights. First introduced in the 1930s, these headlights were a clever design meant to enhance the car's aerodynamics while maintaining a sleek, futuristic appearance. The Cord 810, introduced in 1936, was the first to showcase this innovative design. But it wasn't until the 1980s and 90s that pop-up headlights became a true symbol of automotive cool, gracing cars like the Mazda MX-5 and Chevy Corvette. While the style was undeniably eye-catching, pop-up headlights came with a series of problems. The mechanical parts that made the headlights pop up and down were prone to failure, leading to costly repairs. Safety regulations also changed, and pop-up headlights no longer met the new standards, particularly when it came to pedestrian safety. As manufacturers prioritized reliability and safety, pop-up headlights gradually disappeared from the scene by the early 2000s. They were replaced with fixed headlights that offered better durability and conformed to modern standards, though the pop-up headlights still hold a place in the hearts of car enthusiasts. Number 9, the 8-track tape. Introduced in the mid-1960s, the 8-track tape revolutionized in-car music by offering continuous playback. Developed by Bill Lear of Learjet Corporation in collaboration with Ford and RCA, it quickly became popular in the 1960s and 70s, especially in the United States. The key selling point was its ease of use. There was no need to flip the tape to continue listening to music. This convenience made it a favorite for road trips and everyday driving, as it allowed for uninterrupted music. Despite its popularity, the 8-track tape had several issues. Tapes frequently jammed, and over time, the sound quality would deteriorate. The track switching mechanism also produced an annoying clicking noise, which detracted from the listening experience. By the early 1980s, more advanced and portable options like compact cassettes and later compact discs emerged. These offered better sound quality, greater convenience, and ease of use, leading to the decline of the 8-track tape. Number 8, floor dimmer switch. In the 1920s, a seemingly small but significant innovation made its way into cars: the floor dimmer switch. This clever feature allowed drivers to switch between high and low beam headlights without ever taking their hands off the steering wheel, an improvement designed for both safety and convenience. The switch, typically located on the floor, became popular in American cars throughout the 1940s and 50s. It was an easy-to-use feature that drivers quickly appreciated, especially on long, nighttime drives. However, the floor dimmer switch had its share of issues. Being located on the floor meant it was susceptible to wear and tear, especially after years of use. Dirt, moisture, and road grime could affect its performance, making it less reliable in certain conditions. By the 1980s, manufacturers began shifting toward column-mounted dimmer switches. These new switches were more durable, easier to operate, and allowed for more advanced headlight control. With the improved reliability and convenience, the floor dimmer switch became a thing of the past, a relic of an earlier era of automotive innovation. Number 7. Vinyl roofs. In the 1960s and 1970s, vinyl roofs became a fashionable design feature, particularly on American cars like the Ford Thunderbird and Cadillac Eldorado. Made from polyvinyl chloride, PVC, these roofs were intended to mimic the appearance of a convertible top without the complexity or cost of a true convertible. For many, they added a touch of luxury to their vehicle at a more affordable price. Vinyl roofs became especially popular in the era's big, bold designs, enhancing the overall aesthetic appeal. However, vinyl roofs were not without their flaws. Over time, the material began to crack, fade, and deteriorate, particularly in harsh weather conditions. The adhesive that bonded the vinyl to the roof could also weaken, leading to unsightly peeling and bubbling. These issues required constant maintenance, which detracted from their original appeal. By the 1980s, vinyl roofs fell out of favor as consumers opted for more durable, low-maintenance alternatives. Advances in paint technology and clear coat finishes offered more lasting solutions, rendering vinyl roofs obsolete. Number 6. Tail fins. Tail fins made a dramatic appearance in car design starting in the late 1940s, taking inspiration from the twin rudders of the P-38 Lightning fighter plane. Cadillac was the first to introduce this feature in 1948, and by the 1950s and early 1960s, tail fins had become synonymous with the futuristic, space-age aesthetic. Iconic models like the 1959 Cadillac Eldorado featured large, striking fins, which were a symbol of modernity and innovation during the post-war era. While tail fins may have looked cutting-edge, their practical benefits were minimal. Claims that they improved stability were largely unfounded, and the fins often obstructed rear visibility, making parking and reversing more difficult. They also posed safety risks, with their sharp edges potentially causing injury. The rising costs of production and the shift toward more practical, streamlined designs led to the gradual decline of tail fins by the mid-1960s. Number 5. Push-button transmissions. Introduced in the mid-1950s, push-button transmissions offered a new way of shifting gears without the traditional gear lever. Chrysler was a key player in launching this system, releasing it in 1956. The aim was to simplify gear shifting and free up space inside the car, presenting a modern, futuristic look for the time. The system used buttons on the dashboard, which were initially seen as a cutting-edge innovation. However, push-button transmissions quickly became problematic. The electrical systems that powered the buttons often malfunctioned, with blown fuses and faulty mechanisms being common issues. Additionally, many drivers found the button system confusing and unintuitive, especially those used to traditional gear levers. These shortcomings, combined with the high cost of repairs, led to the eventual phase-out of push-button transmissions as manufacturers moved toward more reliable and conventional gear shifting systems. Number 4. Automatic seatbelts. In the late 1980s, automatic seatbelts were introduced with the aim of increasing car safety. These seatbelts would automatically position themselves when the car door closed, eliminating the need for passengers to buckle up manually. This was a major step forward in promoting seatbelt use among those who frequently forgot or neglected to use them. Initially, this seemed like a clever innovation to improve passenger safety without additional effort. However, automatic seatbelts had significant drawbacks. They only secured the upper body, leaving the lap belt to be fastened manually, which many passengers would skip. This often led to serious injuries, especially in the event of a crash. The cross-chest belt could cause severe neck injuries if the lap belt was not used. Additionally, the mechanisms often malfunctioned, further undermining their effectiveness. By the mid-1990s, automatic seatbelts were phased out in favor of airbags, which provided more comprehensive protection and became standard in vehicles. Number 3, white wall tires. White wall tires, which featured a white stripe or full sidewall, were a hallmark of luxury and elegance starting in the early 1900s. They were particularly popular in the 1950s and 1960s and were associated with high-end cars. The white rubber was initially more durable due to the addition of zinc oxide, but the tires quickly became known for their aesthetic appeal rather than their practicality. White walls were admired for their elegant, sophisticated look, but keeping them clean was a constant challenge. The main downside of white wall tires was the maintenance required to keep them looking pristine. The white rubber would easily pick up dirt, requiring frequent cleaning. Additionally, manufacturing them was more complicated and costly than producing standard black tires. As car designs shifted and more practical, cost-effective options became available, white wall tires faded from popularity. By the 1980s, they were largely replaced by all-black tires, which were easier to maintain and more affordable. Number 2, curb feelers. Curb feelers, also known as curb finders, were metal wires or springs mounted near a car's wheels, designed to warn drivers when they were getting too close to the curb. Popular in the 1950s and 1960s, curb feelers worked by producing a noise when they scraped against the curb, helping drivers avoid damaging their tires or hubcaps. This feature was especially useful for cars with white wall tires, which were more prone to scuffing. However, curb feelers had several drawbacks. They were prone to damage and breakage, and they could be noisy and embarrassing, often attracting unwanted attention. As car technology improved, more accurate and reliable parking sensors and cameras became available, making curb feelers obsolete. Today, these modern systems offer greater convenience without the noise or risk of damage associated with curb feelers. Number 1, T-tops. T-tops, or T-bar roofs, were a popular feature in cars during the 1970s and 1980s. These roofs featured 2 removable panels with a solid bar running down the center, creating a T-shape. The design allowed drivers to enjoy the open-air experience of a convertible while maintaining the structural integrity of a hardtop. Cars like the Chevrolet Corvette and Pontiac Firebird became famous for featuring T-tops, blending the best of both worlds, the freedom of an open roof with the safety and security of a hardtop. Despite their appeal, T-tops had several issues. The removable panels often leaked, causing water damage and rust. Removing and storing the panels was inconvenient, and the central bar that defined the T-shape limited the open-air experience compared to a full convertible. As technology improved and more reliable alternatives like sunroofs and panoramic roofs emerged, T-tops faded out of favor, replaced by these more practical and weather-resistant options. Innovation drives progress, but not every idea is destined to succeed. As we've seen, even the most ambitious designs can fall short, paving the way for lessons learned and future breakthroughs. While some of these failed innovations have been forgotten, they still hold a place in the fascinating history of automotive ingenuity. So what do you think? Were these ideas ahead of their time or just destined to fail? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this journey through the quirky side of car history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more fascinating stories from the world of innovation. Until next time, drive safe and stay curious.